Welcome to the Boulder Bookstore. We're now open for curbside delivery. We're answering phone calls. We're taking orders on the web. And so I'm Arsen Kashkashian, the head buyer here at the store. And I wanted to tell you about some of the great new fiction titles that have shown up in the last 6 weeks while you've probably been at home, the store was dark, but now we're ready to get some of these titles out to you. So the first one I want to talk to you about is Tara Shea Nesbitt's Beheld. This is a book where we were going to have a signing for her on March 17th or 18th, right before we basically shut down the store to the public and everything went crazy. And Tara Shea's book, which I featured on the KGNU Boulder Bookstore Radio Book Club, is about Plymouth Colony, and it's set in 1630, 10 years after the Mayflower got here. And what Tara Shea does so well in this book, like she did in her last book, Wives of Los Alamos, is she tells the story of the women. And we get the voice of an indentured servant who's now been freed. She served out her indentured time. And the governor's wife is the two main characters. And the book is set on the day of the first murder that occurs in Plymouth in 1630, which is a real-life event. And so it's a fun book to read. You really get into these colonists' life in a way that you usually don't. It's certainly not boring Plymouth history. It's great fun. The next book is Stephen Wright's The Coyotes of Cartridge. And this book is designed to make you even more cynical about the political realities that we live in than you already are. So Dre is a young African-American guy, and he is sent to South Carolina with about $250,000 in dark money to get a ballot initiative started so the people in this county in South Carolina will sell their public land. And the dark money, of course, has been put up by a mining company. So anyway, a lot of great characters in here. It moves quickly. John Grisham quote on the front, and I just love this cover. Next book is The Conger Women by Afia Adekori. I don't want to mispronounce it, so hopefully I did not. This is a book about healing women in the Deep South right around the time of Reconstruction. The book starts about a year or two after slavery has ended. And the main character is a healer, practicing everything from being a midwife to voodoo, and there's all sorts of things. And just it has a lush atmosphere to it. It's a great book. One of the quotes on the back compares it actually to Toni Morrison. This is Afia's debut novel, but it's one of the more exciting debuts of the year. Next up is Veronica Roth. Now, some of you might know her for her teen book, starting with Divergent, where she wrote about a dystopia. This is her first book, I believe, for adults. And she sets up a really interesting world. And so the chosen ones are a group of 5 teenagers who were hand-selected to defeat the Dark One, who is kind of making life miserable for everybody. So they have defeated him, and now it's 10 years later, and they are kind of in PTSD. What do you do after you save the world? Well, besides for being depressed and things like that, maybe you didn't quite vanquish the Dark One like you thought you did. And so the battle begins anew. So I would say if you like the Hunger Games, you like Divergent, you like any of those things, you were a teenager and you read all those teen novels and now you're a little older, this is the book for you. Simon the Fiddler, Paulette Giles. And we have got some signed copies here at the store, so if you decide to get one. So Paulette Giles is pretty well known for several different books, News of the World being the last one, which took place in Texas. This one also takes place in Texas. And it's right after the Civil War, or it's at the very end of the Civil War, and it kind of follows a ragtag band of musicians. And Simon is a fiddler, hence the title Simon the Fiddler. But anyway, he falls in love with this woman who is indentured to the Union General. And it's just a great thing. You get kind of the world of Texas in the 1860s. And Paulette's very great images in her writing. She really puts you right in there, and she's got great dialogue. You'll enjoy this. And the last hardcover I have for you is Julia Alvarez, The Afterlife. This is an exciting book. Alvarez is known for In the Time of the Butterflies, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent. This is her first new novel in 10 years. And it involves a writer who's kind of had some really tough setbacks. Her husband suddenly died, her sister has disappeared, and then a pregnant girl, teenager, undocumented pregnant teenager shows up on her doorstep. And then life kind of starts picking up from there. Alvarez is a great writer from the Dominican Republic originally, and I would highly recommend her writing. And then there's a few paperbacks I want to tell people about. The paperbacks are coming out. Disappearing Earth was a National Book Award winner, or finalist, sorry, not finalist for the National Book Award, and got a lot of great reviews, and this is now out in paperback. Elizabeth Gilbert. People know Elizabeth Gilbert for fiction and nonfiction, most notably Eat, Pray, Love. City of Girls. I'm currently reading this because I'll be interviewing Elizabeth for an episode of the KGNU Boulder Bookstore Radio Book Club that will air on May 20th. And this is a great book about 1940 New York Broadway scene. It's just so much fun. And so that is now out in paperback. And finally, Good Talk by Mira Jacob is out in paperback. This is a great graphic novel. It was on my top 10 favorite books for 2019. And Mira is actually going to be on the KGNU show as well. That's the last Thursday of May. I believe that's May 28th. And so those are some new fiction highlights. I hope you enjoy. Happy reading.